Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television as well, Channel 182 in North Alabama. That's on Charter Communications, one of our new sponsors. You can also find us on Abundance Television, which is syndicated. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and the new podcast. Make sure you check that out right there. netnewsnetwork.net. You know something? That's a lot of nets out there, but it's easy for me to remember. So anyway, and we do appreciate this opportunity. And I'll have to tell you, you got to check out this website because there are a lot of fantastic talk show hosts out there, and they speak the truth. And so it's really awesome. You need to check that out. Absolutely. I have a good friend with me right now. His name is Billy Walker. And Billy is a singer. We air his music. He's always in the top 50, usually up there in the top 10 or so. And
I
Billy,
appreciate that. Thank you.
job. Well, our station is a little bit different. So we have promoters who promote music, but actually our listeners are the promoters. And so they, tell us what to play, and we let them boss us around. And after what they're doing, we don't have as much to do when they boss us around. So
that's
go
right. That's right. Makes your job a lot easier.
Absolutely. Well, Billy, tell us about you. I know you have some upcoming songs, and you have some that are really hits here at this station.
Well, I think you've been playing "He's Still Here" really good for me, and that's a great song. I love that song. The message in it is it's a message for today. You know, we're not robots. We're not superhumans. We're human. And, sometimes we have those questions as to why things happen. And is God still really here? But hey, we've got good news. Jesus ain't going nowhere. He's at the right hand of the Father making intercession for us, and he's still here. And we got a great new song that we've just sent out a few weeks ago, written by Kenna Turner West and Jason Cox, called "The Gospel Truth." And man, it's just straightforward, just lets you know exactly what it is. And so I'm really excited about that song.
Billy, tell us about that song. What makes it work?
I'll tell you this. For some reason, and it could be just the key because it's got such a range to it. And, as a singer, it's a little easier for a lower register or higher. There's that mid range that's sometimes just uncomfortable. And I think that just because of the way the song is, that we kind of had to put it in that. So there's some parts of the song that's just in that mid range. But this has been the most challenging song that I've ever had to sing. And when we first went into the studio and we were recording, Angela, my wife, I should listen to her just right off the bat.
Yes, you should, Billy.
I should. She has great instincts, but the whole time she's like, it's not you. It's not good, And so honestly, she made me a little bit aggravated in the studio because I'm thinking, nobody wants to hear that wasn't good. So, but she just wasn't happy with it, and I thought, I had done pretty good with it. Well. I was getting ready to go back in at the very end of the album to do some edits and some things like that. And she said that she was praying about how to approach me to let me know that wasn't good work. So she said the Lord just kind of directed her, and she come up to me and she goes, honey, she goes, I think I know what was wrong with the gospel truth. She goes, you just didn't own it. And at that moment I was like, I think you're right. I don't think I did. So I went back in that next week and we recut it and spent a little bit more time on it, nailed it pretty good. And I had no idea that was going to be a radio single, but it turned out so good that Scott decided, hey, and Jeff at Heritage Communications said, we need to send this one out to radio. So I'm thankful that I listened to my wife and that, so like she says, I need to listen to her right off the bat more often. It would make my life a whole lot more easy. But I'm a typical guy. It takes me a little bit to kind of.
Well, apparently I'm a typical gal because I was telling you before the show started. Phil inserts the commercials instead of me, and he was so sweet about it. But anyway, and it really does. I'm glad I listened to him a couple of times. A couple of times in 30 years, I'm glad I listened. No, a lot of times. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about speaking the truth to people, because sometimes, we're afraid to say something. We're afraid we're going to hurt somebody's feelings or something like that. How important is it that we have good friends who think enough of us to tell us the truth?
Yeah, and when you do that, it can be very uncomfortable because you don't know how they're going to take it. And but I guess it's all, I've always heard you can tell anybody anything, but it's in how that you say it, you know. And if you kind of come up to them and you approach them in love and say, hey, listen, you know, this is just what I see. And because sometimes, when you're in that situation, just like when I'm recording the gospel truth and I'm thinking that I'm doing a good job, somebody from the outside, they've got a little bit better insight to what's
They
going
can look
on.
in, you can't see. You can't see
That's
the
right.
forest for the trees.
That's right. That's right. And so, I've been on both sides of it. And I don't know which is easier. I don't know if it's easier, being the one that somebody has to come to or being the one that you have to go to somebody. I don't know. It's rough and tough either way. But you just approach them with love. And the best key to it, always is like with anything, go into it with some prayer and meditation and just kind of ask the Father, hey, how should I do this? You know.
Well,
So
something, I appreciate a friend who will do that for me. I'm taking I'm 64 years old and I'm still going to school.
yeah.
So I'm taking some master gardener classes through Auburn University.
Okay.
And so I love gardening with a passion. So a friend of mine, Cheryl Baker, she and I just tell it like it is to each other,
Yeah.
because if she doesn't tell me when I'm about to mess up, because gardening is really important, especially with the supply chain. It's, we're afraid we may not have food, accessibility to it. So I'm thinking of neighbors, elderly neighbors and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
not just for filling me, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who's hungry is going to get some food. I'm going to
Mhm.
see to that. And so it's important to me that I have the correct gardening techniques,
Mhm.
what to do. So Cheryl just comes over to the house over the weekend. And by the way, she's the one who wrote the textbook, and it's like this big right here for Auburn University. So she is a gardener.
So she knows what she's doing.
She knows, and she has huge greenhouses. So she's an expert. Say she's
Yeah.
leading me by example. Otherwise, if someone came to me and they had a horrible garden, I probably wouldn't listen to them. I would
Yeah.
smile and go, "Thank you for the advice," but that'd be about as far as it would go.
Yeah.
But she's
Isn't there somewhere in the Bible where it talks about the blind leading the blind?
yeah. And I have done that before. I have let a
Yeah.
blind person lead me, and all it does is lead you off a cliff. I mean, it's just not going to work. But
Yeah.
we have to lead by example, and we have to give reference by Proverbs talks about that all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
just a continuous thing right there. But so
Yeah.
she comes over for the weekend, and so she said, just blates it out, which I'm the type of person, that's all I understand. Don't like try to be nice, just say it. Whatever somebody says, I'll never get it if you don't. And so she said, that's just not gonna work. And it was something that I was doing out there. And I said, thank you, girlfriend. I appreciate you telling me the truth. And she said, well, we don't have time to waste. You got to hurry up and do it the right way because, but there's something said to be said about that.
Yeah.
Somebody who really thinks enough about you and what you're doing to set you on the right track. Because I make mistakes all the time. And some of it's because I'm blind. I'm walking into a dark blind, walking into a wall. Is because, like you said, I can't see the forest for the
Yeah.
trees. But somebody who really cares about me is going to tell me, and I appreciate it.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes you might not receive it right good right there at the beginning, but once you chew on it just a little bit, then you realize, yeah, I think they're right.
I have pouted at Cheryl before. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I don't like the way you said that, and she'll go, sorry, but this way it's got to be,
Yeah.
working. And then I'll mull over it just a little bit. That's a term we use in Alabama,
Yep.
mull over it. I'll
Yep.
mull over it and think, you know what? She did have my best interest. I need to stop whining.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty good. So we're over COVID, hopefully,
Yep.
all that kind of good stuff.
Yep.
So what trend are you seeing right now as far as your audience is concerned? Are they coming back now?
Well, the typical church, I think, still is about a third to half of what they were
That.
before COVID. And I think that we kind of have seen the separation of the wheat and the tare right before our eyes. I don't think that separation is over. I think as time goes, we'll probably see a little bit more. But what I do see is healthy churches,
Uh-huh.
healthy financially, healthy spiritually, healthy fellowship wise. Um, seems to be better than what it ever has been. There's so many places that I go um, where pastors are amazed. I'm amazed at how they take care of me because their level of support has increased during this time.
Mhm.
The level of support for the church from that local church body has increased during that time. And so, it's all about being faithful. If you're faithful to the Lord, the Lord is always going to be faithful to you. And it's like I tell folks all the time, if you're worried about building the kingdom, then the Lord is going to take care of what you are trying to accomplish in the kingdom. So, but
Mhm.
it's all about being kingdom minded, and it's all about just saying, Lord, how can I help build the kingdom? What can I do? And you be mindful of that, and God's mindful of you. It's what I think.
Well,
So,
sometimes, and I think you're correct there. And I think a lot of times we get focused on numbers
hmm
more than because you slap enough mud on the wall, some of it's going to stick, but not all of it will.
right,
Some of it's going to fall off.
yeah,
So it just seems like I know, like with my sponsors, for instance, of course, everybody's trying to get as many sponsors as they can, but I don't want so many sponsors I can't take care of what I've got.
right,
And so I want to be able to help them all out.
hmm
And I think that was a focus for decades. Let's get the numbers, let's get the numbers up,
yeah,
like that. And I
yeah,
don't know. And then the people who are really genuine feel a little left out because you're constantly nursing people into health, which we got to do. But
right, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's you know the church kingdom work, it can be a complicated thing. Just like the church that I was at on Sunday morning, Pastor and I, we were talking, and ministry is ministry, but ministry is business as well. You have to run a church like a business.
mhm,
With what I do, I'm full time in this, and I have to run this as a business. Things have got to make sense.
got to have a
And
structure.
yeah, yeah, and you've got to run it properly. You've got to run it the right way. But it's not all about numbers. I mean, numbers are great.
Mhm,
Numbers represent people out there. So it's not about numbers. It is about numbers, but it's not about numbers.
mhm,
I have seen some of the greatest moves of the Lord in crowds of 10 people, you know. And so as far as me, I never get uptight or upset or worry about who's going to show up to a service or who's not, because the way I pray each week is, I pray for the Lord to anoint in each service. Each
mhm.
church is different. Each church needs to hear something different, and I always pray for anointing and pray, Lord, send the people to that particular place that need to hear that particular word that night. And so
Absolutely. Billy, we've got to go into a commercial break. Time flew.
already, man.
So let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in
All
just a
right.
few minutes. Y'all hang in there, okay? At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain-fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Okay, we are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's local to North Alabama. You can also find us on Abundance Television, which is syndicated. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Make sure you check out that podcast right there. I'm really glad I did my nails yesterday. I had some guests on the show and I was like, ooh, I don't need to do that because my nails look horrible from working out in the yard. They look good today. So
They
anyway,
do look good.
Check out the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. And I'm not the only talk show host there. There are a number of fantastic folks and they're out there telling the truth, so, and they care that their feelings are hurt, but send hate mail. We all don't care. So go ahead and send it on. As a matter of fact, if you want, now I haven't received any yet. But if it's to help me be a better talk show host, I'm all for it. So send it on. and I'll be glad to do that. I have Billy Walker with me right now. He's a good buddy of mine. And so now, Billy, tell everybody where you live.
Well, I'm originally from Perry, Florida, just outside of Tallahassee.
Hmm.
I've been in Nashville for about the last year and a half. And
Hmm.
so I kind of split time still between Florida. Like right now, I'm in Florida. And I was in Florida last week, and Florida this coming up weekend. Next week, I'm in Myrtle Beach at Singing in the Sun. I'm singing on Tuesday afternoon at Singing in the Sun. And then I'll be in Virginia, and then we'll be headed back to Nashville for a couple weeks. And then things just really get busy at that point. So
Now you
we'll
travel all over the world, basically.
all over the United States, and hopefully we're about to start getting back into Canada. With this COVID stuff, they had kind of closed the border a little bit. It was a little bit more difficult to get over there. So
Uh-huh.
I'm going to try to start getting back into Canada and seeing my Canada buddies next year. So,
Well, you know what? On your way from Florida to Tennessee to Nashville, you need to stop by our church sometime.
well, I would love to do that.
We go to the Cowboy Church.
I've
We
never
go,
sang in a cowboy church. I've always
you'll
wanted to
you'll
sing in a
only want
cowboy
to
church.
sing in cowboy churches after this. I'm going to tell you, they will love you to death.
Well, tell your pastor to get up with me. I've got some open dates in July.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I
Oh
do.
yeah, you've got to come to the Cowboy Church, and I'll tell you what, the church is growing like crazy. And this is really interesting. So I talked with Philip Gilliland, who is with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. We've been friends
Hmm.
for years, and then also our pastor Don Hunton and
Hmm.
his wife Judy. They're awesome people. So we started going there. It was during around COVID-ish, kind of, a little bit after COVID,
Hmm.
and so all of the reasons that people say they don't go to church, they were plagued with reasons that you would not want to go to church. And I'll put it to you
Yeah.
this way: it was extremely hot in the summertime in there, and it was extremely cold in the wintertime in there. It was a barn while they were
Yeah.
having the church built. So we made it actually in a barn. And this really neat guy allowed us to use this barn. It was a nice one, but it was cold, and
Yeah.
it had 3 walls, and cold air and hot air would come in. Okay, we sat in straight chairs. Most
Yeah.
people say, well, I want to be where it's nice and plush and comfortable, that kind of. I don't need to get comfortable. I may fall asleep. So I need
Absolutely.
to, that's a need for me. So
Yeah.
we're sitting in chairs that are not very comfortable. And some of us are actually bringing our own chairs, because again, it's a
Yeah.
temporary church.
Hmm.
Church started growing like crazy. And I told Phil, I said, a lot of things I've seen people whine about in a church, like no carpet. I got to have red carpet. Somebody else wants to argue and say, I want blue carpet. No carpet, straw for the floors. So, all the reasons people say, it's not comfortable, I'm not going, they're growing like crazy. But
Yeah.
I think it's probably because we take some of the reasons people don't go. We love kids crying, by the way. That means that there's youth in the church. So
Absolutely.
when a baby cries, nobody gets upset.
That's a beautiful sound.
We love it.
Yeah.
So there was a lady, she was new to the church, Sunday before last, I think it was. She was sitting by me, and she had a little girl, and the little girl was just, kind of going in and out of well, she just kept apologizing. And I said, don't apologize. We
Yeah.
love kids in the church.
Yeah.
It means you're not a dying church.
That's right. That's right. And there's so many of them that are.
Hmm.
But that
So,
yeah, I love to see kids in the church.
hmm.
Some people they get a little distracted, and it can be, but that's still that just lets you know, hey, there's something going on here. So
I think if the pastor acts like he's distracted, I think every rest of us get distracted. So
yeah,
when there's a little kid that cries, mom has to take it out right there.
yeah,
Then our pastor just goes, I'm so glad we have kids. I mean, he just
absolutely, yeah.
and they at the end of the service they sing. All the kids, and there's about 40 of them now, little kids.
Wow.
40 out in the middle of, and that's another thing, out in the middle of absolutely nowhere is where this church is. It's on
Yeah.
Lookout Mountain. And so the kids get up there every single Sunday after church and sing Happy Trails.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's cool. They just love doing that,
I
And it's just,
imagine they do.
but I think sometimes and you've got to have structure. Or else it's just insane in a church if you don't have some kind of structure. But I
Yeah.
think we take away some of the things, like we don't pass the plate. They have a little church, a little wooden church back there, and you just,
Right.
as you're coming in, you put your money in there.
Yeah.
Because I've been divorced before, and I remember not having any money, and I remember all I had one time was change, and the plate was walking around. I was trying to make sure it didn't make a sound. I was like, Like that. It's all I happen to have that week,
Yeah.
So that all the barriers, kids crying and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff's been taken away. I just like to see other churches do that as well. It works.
Yeah.
It really
It
does.
does.
Yeah, we want
Yep.
you to come to Cowboy Church.
Well, let's make that happen. I'd love to.
We'll do it. I'll get your
Um,
information
okay.
to the person who does all that
Yeah.
stuff. Gets it
Yeah.
going.
I know as of right now, I've got Sunday morning, July the 9th open.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would love to come by. So, I was just in Alabama Easter weekend.
Oh, really? What part?
Yeah. I was in Summerville on Saturday night up in the Decatur area.
Uh-huh.
And then every year on Easter, I'm at a great little church. It's called Harmony Grove Church in Decatur, Alabama. Well, actually, it's Danville outside of Decatur. And so I can't remember the last time that I've not been. Well, COVID year, we weren't there, obviously. But other than that, I can't remember the last time I've spent Easter anywhere else other than in Danville, Alabama. And we're already scheduled for next year. Easter is next year on March 31st. So I'm already scheduled back in Somerville on the 30th on Saturday and Danville on Sunday morning.
That's awesome.
So,
we have about 2.5 minutes left in this segment. Can
okay.
you believe it? Wow. What would you like to, what's your message? What do you want to tell folks before you go?
Well, first off, if you've got any Singing News subscribers that listen to you, I need your vote because I found out a couple weeks ago that I was nominated for Favorite New Artist in the Singing News Fan Awards. Yeah.
Congratulations.
I was shocked.
I'm not shocked at all.
Angela was telling me that morning, she goes, hey, they're announcing nominees today. I said, so? I said, I don't care. I ain't going to be nominated for nothing. Then about an hour later, I found out I was. So if you got any subscribers that subscribe to Singing News, I need your vote. The Sound don't need it. They got enough people. Southbound don't need it. They got enough people, but I do. So, so next round of voting starts April 25th on that. So favorite new artist. The other thing is just Jesus is here. Jesus cares, and Jesus is always going to be here for us. The truth is that Jesus came to earth. They put him up on a cross, put him in a tomb, and on that third day, he came out victorious over death, hell, and the grave, holding the keys just to give them to you and to give them to me. And I know it sounds cliche-ish, but whatever that you need is found in Jesus. And if the world understood and knew the peace and the love of Jesus, society would be such a better place. And so all we can do is all we can do. I was wearing a shirt this morning, and my motto, my mantra is let's make heaven crowded. That's what I want to do. And we can't get everybody, but I say let's get everybody that we can. If you know who Jesus is as your personal Savior, and you carry the flag of Jesus, be the light. Be the light to your community, be the light at your work, and be the light in your family. You do that, everything's going to be okay.
It's true. Absolutely. Billy, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for playing my stuff. And don't forget the new song, The Gospel Truth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television. We are syndicated. Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Make sure you check out that podcast with my good fingernails. Make sure you check out that podcast. That's my dog going off. That means it's time to call it a day. Thank you, Billy, for being on the show.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.